Chatbox is live, studio is live, you're alive. I'm alive.
Right. Thank God I got my laptop. I nearly thought, oh, we won't need it. We won't need my laptop.
Now what, let's see. Okay, now I'm not sure if we should be on air. People should be having a look at us and we should be saying hi.
We're up.
Right. People should be having a look at us and we should be saying hi. Okay, we're doing it. Now it's after midday and here we are talking live too. Well, we put in America and the UK and in different times. So I hope that you've been able to log in. We had a few teething problems at this end. Mind you, it's a big storm outside and we're supposed to be under 6 feet of water. Such big climate change doesn't exist. Apart from that, this is all about numerology. Now, some people have seen me before. I've been doing this sort of work for 45 years and I've been doing it in a boutique type setting. So I've got a whiteboard behind me and my website and some of the things that you might want to make note of during the course of our chat today, and accepting live chat in so I can do some stuff for you, in which case if you saw the short I did, which was a 7-minute short, I had to cut a lot out of it as well. However, that particular short was showing what I'll be doing today regarding putting up a first name for a person and your day and birth. I'm not interested in the year of your birth, and from there we can start to have a bit of a discussion about your life and what's going on for you, and I think you'll be most intrigued. Now, all of this is free today. There is no charge for it whatsoever. In fact, even up on my board behind me at the very top, I've got a Whosthat.nz. Just make sure it's spelt correctly. And what that will do, it will give you access to a little program that I built. Well, I didn't build it, but it's using my technology. And you put your first name in, and that's all you might have to do. And you can click report, and it'll give you a report on your first name based on my work. If you want to, you can put your surname in or your called name. So like Peter at the top for me, and Vaughan would be in the next line down. And then you can hit report and you'll find that you'll get a whole report on you as well. Now, that website provides these little accesses to different people's names, up to about 6 on your phone or your computer. Now, none of it comes back to me. It's literally all done at your end. And then once you've gone through about 6 names and had fun looking at those, even your own name, if you put another one in, the bottom one drops off. So in other words, you've got a stream that you can run through, but if you want to store them, they'll only store the 6 that you've got on your system with the Whosthat.nz website. And on this one here, the profiles Peter Vaughan. Now, people get profile reports done, and in so doing, they come in a variety of packages and prices. So what I've done is I've done a lot of writing, and I've worked for some fairly interesting people that quite a few excuse me, people know. But the point being that I've written so much data over the years that I can now put what I've done, and it pulls a person's name to pieces and their birth date to pieces, and it throws it back together again and selects the texts that you will read or have delivered. And it does it with about 28 pages. Now, of that package, you'll end up with a top section, which is talking all about you and how other people see you and what you're meant to be doing in life and all those sorts of things. So it's a profile on you. Following that, you'll get a forecast. Now, this forecast is kind of like delivered in 2 packages. You've got the present year, 2025, and you've also got an overview of that year and of next year, 2026. In between all of that, you've also got 12 months forecast. Now, the forecast itself, when you get it in 3 parts, 1, 2, and 3. So if it was the month of May, as an example, coming up, what you'll have in the month of May is how you feel. So how are you feeling? Or how you are in May? And it'll tell you what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, what's happening to you and within yourself. But then there's an environment that you are living in. So this is your environment. So this is ENVIR. So literally that is the month, what you're experiencing. Now, there are 9 types of basic experiences for people in their months, but inside that, there's about 81 per each month that these calculations are made from. So it's really quite calculated onto you. Now, between you and your environment, we can then say, if we bring these two together, we get the effect. And the effect is what you should do for best effect. And that means that you've got 12 months of those particular advantages to have you giving you foresight. Once you go down a few months, you look back and you'll see, by crikey, that was close. And I've been very happy to say that the track record of this particular work here has been followed by engineers at the top end, people who are serious business people, business magnates. Been on television shows with it, radio shows with it. And I've got some messages coming through. Kathleen. Okay, Kathleen, as you're watching this, and what I can do here, I'm going to put up Kathleen and your day and your month only. And what's your year going to be like? Okay, so you go by Kath, but we're going to put up Kathleen. So let's take that off. So when you're people talking to you and you're born as Kathleen, so I just want to make sure I have that. In fact, I'll give this back to you.
I can't get in, Pete.
You can't?
I can't get in. Is anyone else? Can we look on my laptop to see if anyone else is asking any more questions?
Kathleen's the only person there. Let's see. Yep. So yes, just Kathleen's popped up. Okay, so Kathleen, Kathleen. Now, there are many ways of spelling the same sounding name. So Kath can be spelt with a C and with K as well. So I make sure that people have sent in the right information. So you've sent me that, but you go by that name. Now, if we were to look at Kathleen and converting that into its numerical format, first of all, that's the 11th letter of the alphabet. So we can reduce that to the number 2. The first letter is A, T is the 20th letter, 2 and 0 is 2, H is the 8th letter, L is the 12th letter, 1 and 2 is 3, E is 5, and N is 5 also because it's the 14th letter of the alphabet. So the first thing to do is understand that when you were called Kathleen as a baby, you had no idea what that sound was, but it was associated with much of your emotions. So if you were hungry, wet, got frightened, somebody picked you up and cuddled, caressed, and maybe changed your nappies or something, but they always presented your first name. They didn't give you your full name. They never said, blah, blah, blah. It's giving you your first name only. And that particular part gets associated in the brain with your particular profile being built, or should I say personality. So let's add that up. 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 28, 31. So that'll equal 31, and that would be reduced to the number 4. So I'm just checking on that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 8, 9, 41. Correct. So 31. Yes, I thought I said 41 there for a moment. Now, if I had added that up using those big numbers, it would still end up being the number 4. What's 4? Well, first of all, not just looking at what that is or what that is, but we're also looking at what that is. Now, the letter K represents you're a little bit of a daydreamer, because up here, this way and that way, the letter K says, I'm looking into the clouds. I'm always thinking about where the future is going to go and what's happening around me on terra firma here. So the letter K is an 11th letter of the alphabet, and that usually means a little bit of a person who's higher thinking than other people, which means you can go off into your mind and see things which you will only know what's going on. Now, I'm going to have a look at your birthday as well at the same time, because this also represents that you're a sensitive little soul. And if we look at just the Cath part of you, it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 4. So even if we looked at that short part of your name there, 8 and 2 is 10, 11 and 2 is 13. So we've got the lean part here is coming to 31, 4, and your first part is 13, 4. 9. Yep, that's correct. So I had to check when I'm doing things from a double angle to make sure I didn't get these two numbers incorrect here. This represents, Kathleen, that you're a fun person and you're a serious person at the same time. So some people see you as a really good, enjoyable type of person, especially at a party or sometime when you're relaxing. Otherwise, you're quite serious and can be down to earth and looking on things in a manner that you know things have to be done. Loyalty and honesty is really important to you. And if anybody who dashes that at any time in your life, well, you end up having challenges. You know, I've got a Brandon come up too in a moment, so we'll have a look at Brandon. Now, on this side here, we know that your birthday, which is 27 July. So I'm going to put that up there. Now, that's your birthday. It's actually your birthday every year. So, so I don't need to have your birthday year here, but I can do it 2025, because you're having your birthday this year in July. So we add these up. That's 9 and that's 7. So getting those together, we'll get 16, which equals 7 by adding those two up to get that. And that means that you are a person who's a relative thinker. You do a lot of thinking. In fact, you even like people who are intelligent. People can be boring or annoying if they're not. We add that to this. Now, 225 does in fact add up to the number 9. So 7 and 9 equals, again, 16. So this year, Kathleen, and looking at the question you wanted, what is your year going to be like? This is a year of learning. It's also a year of taking care of your health. In other words, 7 means to be perfect, to improve something, to make it better. And it's good to have some time out, not pushing too hard. If you push too hard, it would be like pushing a grocery trolley through the mud or over rocks. It's just difficult. So take your time, slow down. You're a nice person. Anyone born on the 27th day of the month cares about other people, but they care in a way that they actually listen and they think. So there's a difference between just caring for people as a gentle 9, but you're a 27 9, so you're actually quite a special person. And having the Kathleen part, even Kath, and I'd like to see you use Kathleen, because Kathleen gives you a lot more creative ability. That's what this stands for, more creative ability. Over here it says, no, I really want fun for me only. Thanks, bugger off. We're not doing it that way. You're a nice person and you're helping other people. Now, I'm going to move on to my next guest who's asking something here. So thanks, Kathleen, for your help. Remember, go and have at the site anyway. If you actually look at petervaughan.net, just that part, petervaughan.net, there's even some videos in there when you go and push on the button that says get your profile now. You don't have to get a profile. Look at that web image, that story, and you'll find there are 3 cut down TV shows that I was on. And in there, you'll see what I can do with this stuff when I've got everybody's full name and date of birth. So Kathleen, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Now, I'm going to take that off. There. And we're going to do this, by the way, it's called Numerology. Numerology is something that I created, and I did that because nobody had understood where it comes from. And you have to understand that not only are numbers not about numbers, they're a language, in the form of this art or craft. And letters, where did they come from? So we have to go into understanding hieroglyphs, shorthanded pictures, and that sort of thing. So let's have a look at Brandon. I'm just going to make sure I get this down. And you're 27 of April. Now that's the only information I'm giving out anyway. You're asking just basically about your business and life going forward. Okay, now that's what I've been given. Thank you very much. And I will continue doing this as long as people are interested. Brandon, let's put your name up. And another thing about people's names, by the way, who named you? Now, it's very important, and this is something else that comes with a lot of the work that I've done. It's very important who named you. If it was the mother, great. If mum was happy with the name, great. If dad named you, not so great. Not that dads are bad. Sometimes it's to do with the way in which people live and the way that they're brought up in the world. Different cultures have different ways of naming people. But the idea being, mum baked you, basically, and when you came out, then she knows more about you than anybody else does. And if a name fits or doesn't fit, there's a feeling related to it. So let's put Brandon up there. Now I just used a damp cloth to take it off, and I'm going to use a undamp cloth just to wipe that out a bit so it doesn't bleed. Brandon, and it's bleeding. I'll do it, doesn't matter. Now, the person's first letter on their first name, as I mentioned before with Kathleen, the letter B. So when you're looking at the letter B, what you're looking at is kind of two circles. The bottom one's bigger than the top one. By the way it's structured, as far as our psychology goes, there's a lot to do with psychology, because numerology and letrology of today is not the same it was 100 years ago. Completely different. It's developed. Human psychology develops with that, which is why we can use computers today. 100 years ago, that was not possible. So as we develop, we work with what our program is, and your name, Brandon, was programmed in. Let's see if I can put it up again. Oops, Brandon. Yep. Oops. Brandon. Now, each letter has a numerical position in the alphabet. The alphabet was made by others. We have learned to use it, and we've learned to use that with numbers to make us thinkers. Without language of any sort, be it numbers and or letters, and it doesn't even matter about the nationality, we can't think. So we need an alphabet and we need numbers to think with. Take that out of a person's head, there is no thinking. So 2, 9, 1, 5, 4, 6, and 5. Those are the numbers associated to the letters in the alphabet. I'm just wondering whether I should have had that little board card I can hold up now and again to show people how that's working. What do you think?
Do you want me to grab it?
Yeah, just go and grab it from downstairs. I should be okay on my own.
Okay.
All right. But don't be too long. Right. Let's add it up. 2 and 9's 11, 12, 17, 21, 27, 33, 32. That adds to 5. Let's check on that. It's 11 and 4. It's 15, 20, 21, 2, 23, 32. Yep. So, Brandon, the letter B represents a bit of a soft person. It's kind of a cuddly letter. And it means that you've got an approach with things and people, and you like to be thought of as a nice person. Now, you are a nice person, but your biggest problem, Brandon, here is because the total of your name, which results in this particular number 5, 5 means everything, freedom to do what I want to do. So if I said, look, here are the 9 numbers, and I'm going to be using all sorts of stuff to explain this to people as I'm going by, so make sure you can see what yes you can. If I was to go across here and put the numbers in this matrix here, and or this way, or that way, or that way, it doesn't matter. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now those are the 9 numbers that we use. You're a 5. And if we even changed the way that we did that, so if I started here and I went this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 is still in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means that that number, no matter what happens, is literally touching every other number on a physical sense. But this is a good way of explaining it, because the number 5 says, I know a little bit about everything. That means you're a jack of all trades. But not just that. That means which take your fancy as you're getting older. And in this way here, it literally means I can adapt very quickly to anything going on around me. Even though I'm a little sensitive here, I'm still a person who's able to adapt to things. I'm quite creative. I do take care of the details, but I've also have quite a variety of activities and things that go on in your mind. Oh, thanks. Now, just to show people where I get this from, this code. Now, all numerologists use this. I added 0 here on the 27th position, not because it's a letter, but because it complements the whole system. Up here, we can't have 10 if we don't have 0. So therefore, 0 is an important aspect of both letters and numbers. And if you've got 1 to 9, that means our numbering system adds up to 9. Fine. The first row of letters here also adds up to 9. A to I is 9 letters. The next row down to give us 18 letters, and the third row here gives us up to 8 only. So we've got 2 and 6 is 8 for 26 for Z. That means we need something here which joins that with that to give us 9, 9, 9, and 9. And 4 9s are 36, and 3 and 6 equals 9. Every letter has a shape, and every letter therefore has a meaning and a reference to it. So I'll hold this up every now and again when I'm doing this so people can see that. Right, so taking that out, I want to ask you about, or tell you, I should say, about yourself at this particular year. Now, you've given 27 April. And at that particular point, we can put 4 there, and we can put 9 there. I'm going to add those two together, and we get 13, which equals 4. So for some reason, you probably do think that the number 13 is kind of like a lucky number. And most people think it's terrible. It's not terrible. It's like any other number. They're not good, they're not bad, they're not indifferent. They just are what they are. It's people who mess them up or use them wisely. So the number 13 is quite gifted. You're colorful, you're bright, you've got answers. I'll just tell you what they are. This particular part here says that you've got solutions to problems, and you lead the field, and you get out there and you start making it. So you're a leader there, and you start creating things there, and you like to do it your way because of the hands-on approach that you naturally do things. You do things well with your hands and how you're applying things. Now, the 27th, which I think was even our Kath's birthday, she was born on the 27th. So this is a nice number. You care about the small things, you do a lot of thinking, but you're a nice person in that respect. If we add to that the year 2025, which I believe in a matter of days you'll be having your birthday, that's a 9 year, and I'll probably repeat that a lot throughout the time we're spending online. But there's a very, very, very important thing to know about that particular pattern that you've got. We have these big cycles that go through life. They're 9-year long cycles. They bounce like a ball. And if I was to say, where are you at the time we're going to go through this particular clockwork, it's a 9-year cycle, you are here at the moment at part of the 4th cycle of life in this area. And this area says that you must, like I'm going to put a square in here, you must make sure that everything you do is actually planned and built properly. If you have anything that needs to be done, it's important that you plan and make decisions. It's really important. Pardon?
Details.
Detail, yes. It's not so, details more to do with that, but with the 4, and specifically because of planning means to make the structure and the plan correct, and there's details of that. And then you've got to make that decision. So be decisive. And make sure that everything you do, you've actually worked out and you've checked and it's all okay. If it's not, you're going to make a mistake if you just do things off the cuff. Don't do that. You already had, I'm going to go back to say 40 years ago, if you want to do that for yourself. So 2001, irrespective of the COVID situation, which was hassling the world, you had some things that you had to deal with at that stage which were personal. And that's telling me that basically on this data here. So when I get into this, I can go back in time, I can go forward in time just as easy. You wanted to know your life going forward, plan this year, make sure you don't make no mistakes. And if you look at this year, it's 2025. 225 is a 9 number. That adds up to 9. And then you add that to April. It's 4, 9 and 4 is 13. So it's that for the world as well as for you. And I can happily say, in respect of that, I put up on my one of my blogs, I think it was, on my website, vaughncode.com. I'll actually put that up there now so it can be seen. AUGHANCODE.com. That site will give you information about some of the blogs and stories I put up there, which will be very helpful to a lot of people. And I've given one on the dates of April, ones to look out for. And this is a month where some very, very interesting things have been happening already and are still to happen ahead of time. Now, you also asked about business. If to do that in more detail, which I can do, but this is only part of you, just like Peter is part of me, but my whole name literally adds up to the word Numerology, which is this thing, and many of the parts of my makeup add up to the number 1, and number 1 means you're a numerologist. Most numerologists have the number 1 in their makeup in one or more places generally, because the word number adds up to, when you do the coding, Number. If you took the letters down like that, and you'd find that Number sums to the number 1, as does the word numerology. So in business, it would still be relating to planning. But Brandon, I'd like to help you further. If you want to get hold of me, you can get hold of me on go through petervaughan.net, and you'll find there's a contact in there to get hold of me on an email. And I'll be quite happy to give you some more advice on that as well. When I say happy to, I have fees on my work, but they're certainly not like the fees some people charge around the world for it. So have a look, I'd appreciate it. And if you like what you heard, great, let me know. Okay, who we got here? We've got Luke. So thanks, Brandon, and thanks, Kath, before. I'm going to have a go at working with Luke at the moment. Interesting, Luke is another number 4. Right, okay. So we have here, oops, I'm going to write you down on my little pad here, Luke, so I haven't lost your information. Luke, and you are born on the 12th of April, and I won't tell us all. Okay. Right, Luke, did you have anything you were starting out working? What should I do as a career? Cool. Now, it's interesting, you're a builder, you're doing your building thing. All right, so we'll look at Luke. Now, I'd like to know if mum or dad named you. Again, I'm going to repeat this throughout the time. If anyone else other than your mother named you, or she didn't like the name, but basically had to go with the will of the whatever. And some people are even named and they prefer to use their middle name because it's what mum wanted anyway, and dad got the first name. I mean, I'm a dad 5, and my children's names were some chosen through this and some weren't before I got into it. But I have been doing this for 45 years, and so therefore I've got children older than that. Now, Luke, let's put the numbers under here, and I'm going to do it to show you again. I'm getting it from this. So Luke, L is 3, and you'll find it in the 3rd column right there, and the U is also there. It's a 3. And the K is in the 2 column right there. It's the 11th letter. And E is the 5th one, of course, nice and easy. So let's have a look at that. 6, 7, 8, and 5 equals, look at that, numbers coming up basically for 3 times in a row so far, 13 and 31. Look at that. Okay, Luke, the letter L, the most important letter of a person's name is their first letter. And if you look at its shape, and if that was a platform that you were sitting on, and that was your vertical and horizontal lines here, look at this. It speaks outward loudly. So it's saying, hi, I'm Luke. So you've got this very creative, very open, very talkative type nature. And people like that. But Luke, as with all people who are called Luke and the number 13, you sometimes seem to attract into your life a lot of people and issues and problems that could come your way. Now, the problem with it is number 13 is a lucky number. And if you're going to have the lucky number, it says, treat me the right way and I'll give you the right answers for everything you want to know. And this includes all aspects of your life on a personal level and on physical and work level. Now, there would be something in here which is interesting if I can see that. Yes, it is. I do see it. I'm going to show you something which is fascinating, which is why I like doing this. So that's the L in the high part, Luke. And I know a few Lukes, and they are very sensitive, like you, sensitive people who like to be liked. And if you get anything harsh on you at times, it can be kind of really hurting on the inside. So people who have hurt you, you don't forget it either. So don't. The old saying, forgive and forget, in my book doesn't work, because you might say you forgive somebody for something, but can you forget it? No. Nobody can forget anything. So I don't know why that saying came about, but it doesn't work with me. So let's have a look at your birthday, the 12th of April. I'm going to put straight there 4. So actually I won't, because on an international scale, a lot more people than live in New Zealand live in America, as an example. So we're going to go 12th and we're going to go April. Even though in America it's April the 12th, doesn't matter. It's the same. So that's the 4th month, and 1 and 2 adds up to 3. 3 and 4 equals 7. And at that particular time, you are very good with your hands. So if you've got a career where your hands are engaged and in building it is good. The day that you're born on is a habit number. And that means you're habitually good with anything that happens to be the same as your number at the beginning of your birthday. Let's have a look. You work with wood. I'm going to write the word wood down here. And wood comes from a tree. Well, it probably comes from all sorts of things, but tree mainly when you're in the building trade. I know that. I've been a sparky for nearly 50 years before, and this was all a hobby, and it just happened to take over. Now, just to show you, I'm not going to muck you around. Let's put the numbers underneath the letters here for the word wood. 5, 6, 6, 4, and under tree, it's 2, 9, 5, and 5. Let's add them up. I'll go 6 and 6 is 12, and 5 is 17, and 4 is 21. Oh, look, that equals 3. Tree, 2, I'll go 10, 12, and 9 is 21. Isn't it interesting how people's first letter of their name, which is the most important one, is 3. Here, 12th of April, the 12th is the most important part of your birthday, the day that you're born on. And it adds to 3, and wood's 3, and 3 is 3. Now you're a builder. Career-wise, some people who are builders can end up being specialists, like cabinet makers or ship builders and that kind of thing. People who are a bit cool with it. So the number 13 here says that whatever you choose to do, if you choose and specialize in it, you will be well paid. It's a name that says, when I'm given the right to do and use my name Luke as it should be used, it gives you more skill than most people. Now I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to make Luke a bit more involved, because you're not just what it said. L, oops, here's me writing 4, good heavens. L is the 12th letter of the alphabet. U is the 21st letter. K is the 11th letter. E is the 5th letter. 12, 20, 12, 22, 32, 33, 43, 44, 49 equals 13, which equals 4. Now, see how it's come to the same result here. But this part of you is the larger scale of Lucas. We've expanded on it. In this case here, for a bit of advice, take people's advice on, give them a bit of help, but don't do everything for them. That's wrong, because people need to learn to do things themselves, and that includes you. So here, your name then says 49. And the building trade, anyone in the building trade, mechanical trades where they're putting structure and things together, usually always have the number 4 as part of their component. So it's not just your whole name, it's 49, but it means that you'll be doing service work for others. So career-wise, anything in the building industry would be good. If you want to specialize, start planning it, because if you plan things into Luke's life, Luke has fun. Also, Luke is a hot name. So girls, if you if you want to make Luke that guy, he's the kind of guy who's got a hot name. So an enjoyable sort of a bloke. Thanks, Luke, for your help and your time. I'm still okay here because we're waiting for anything else that's going to come racing through, and I can otherwise play with a bit of time. Luke, in your hands, when you've got at your age, if you just basically started your career, I would advise that it's a very gentle time to realize that a lifetime career is something that you should plan out and choose well, and also look out for faults. I'll carry on talking here. Hey, but Luke, thank you for that, mate. I appreciate it. And this is why this is such a fun subject. Everything always seems to work. But I'm going to put up here something else that people aren't really aware of. The letters of an alphabet equal personality, or personalities, I'll put up there. The letters which makes people names, they create personalities for people. But the birthday is different. It's characteristics. Numbers. And it's character. Characteristics. Now, when I say that, if characteristics are the numbers, let's just put a line through here. This one here is when you're born on. It's got a lot to do with time. And this one up here says, who are you? So through time, which is that, you're traveling. And with people's letters in their name, as you saw, or as I've shown some people already, each letter, not only does it have a characteristic shape that we have been programmed to work with, the numbers themselves are fixed in the form of what they actually represent, a quantity of something. And in this case here, the letter E, its quantity is 5. And therefore, it has an energy that will expend itself for 5 years. So what I've done with people's lives is, whether a person is here in life, here in life, here, and even I'll put you a little bit bent over, a bit more tired, yeah, and even back here, little baby on the ground, doing all sorts of things. So we go through life like this. Where are we? Well, I'm going to suggest here for you, Luke, for example, that you're somewhere, probably, I'll just guess, say somewhere around about here, because you just started your career off. But Luke, you have a past. And Luke, when you're older, whatever age you be, let's just say that you're 40 here. I'm just going to go to 40. At 40, which you have not yet experienced in life, you've experienced this, but you haven't experienced that. So therefore, you cannot remember anything here because it hasn't happened yet. When you reach here, then you will remember the events that took place at certain times in your life. If that's true, then those experiences which couldn't have been seen from here going forward were going to happen anyway. But what if you could do this? What if I took you here and put you up here? Let's just say it's 50, 55. At 55, any person who's at 55 will know of the events that took place in their past. At this age, you'll know of all the events that took place in your past. If a person, therefore, I can read their past, which I can, right back to when a person was born, I can do that. And I can prove that I can do that when I'm talking with people. I wouldn't be this particular stage otherwise. And so therefore, if I can look right back into the past in someone's life, why can't I look forward? Why can't I then say this and this and this and this? will happen, and when you're here, you'll see it. Well, that's exactly what I've done. So the Vaughan code up here is literally a code of time. And I'm able to take people from where they are into the future at any time. I'm able to provide warnings, times of when love, if a person's looking for love, when that's going to pop by. I can look at when money is available, when your spending should stop, when anything that happens along the way needs to be looked at. We can do that. So a lot of people do this, and I've done somewhere between, it's been calculated by a software engineer, somewhere between 200 and 300,000 case studies over 45 years. And it's not me doing one-on-ones. This is doing assessment and analysis of companies and people and suicide and murder and going back in time to great people, like Tesla, for example, and finding out why he had issues he did in life when he had them, because he did have a hard time. And not many people even know that he actually had a real bad time when he was 7. And that's through an act of being angry at his brother, who was allowed to ride the family horse before he was. He was a bit younger. His brother was 15. And the next day it was his birthday, right on the 1st of January. Well, what happened to poor old Mr. Nikolai Tesla? He got frustrated that his brother was allowed to ride the horse, so he got a pea shooter and he shot the horse from inside a bush. And gave the horse a fright, and the horse reared up. Brother dropped off and he got trampled to death. He didn't die straight away, he died in the next day or two. Now that's actually on Nikolai Tesla's chart, before the event and of course after the event. All of these sorts of things I've done with research into history, which what makes this subject a really, really fascinating one. So your future, therefore, is already written. And once you know what it is that you can do, you have the right to chop and change and make decisions. You have free will. But if you have free will the wrong way, and I see there's more people coming through, just know this, and I'll get on with the next lovely person. Oops. This is what happens in your life, everybody's life. It's like a funnel. You start here, and your ideal is to go right through to the end there. Oh, that's not a bad straight line. Really, it didn't touch the walls. This is a taboo area. No, you don't go up here or down here. It's not area for you. It's outside that boundary. And this is called the line of the straight and narrow, to where you get a happy ending. I'll put a bigger tick there. Now, the problem with people is they think they know better. And you've probably experienced this, a lot of you. You're going through life, you get past your puberty years, etc., and you're up into here, and in that time you think, I'm going to go and do this. And you go up too far because your friends are doing it, and you're doing it, and having fun. Bang, you hit that wall there, and that hurts. So you quickly come back down to the straight and narrow again. And then sometimes you might go carry on as you're going through time, and you find another mistake. What was that mistake? I married the wrong person. Oh dear. And then other mistakes, so you sort of have to wear that one, but you wear your way back up and you come up to here. The good thing about it is, when you know where you're going in life, so you've got knowledge of where you're going, and you've got knowledge of who you are, what you're capable of, and your skills, all the way along here are events. And those events can be highlighted and seen by the charts that I create. Now, those charts are pretty intense. Just don't have one right at my fingertips beside me, but I'll pull one up in a minute, show you some. I'll pull it up in a minute, but I want to have a look at some other people's bits. So your life, therefore, has got a path in front of it. And that's where Numerology has discovered that right into the nth. Here's another interesting point. What happens if somebody dies right there before they have their full life going out? At this particular point, I'm going to call it an accident, a suicide, illness. Doesn't matter what it is. Person's life is cut short. That can be seen back here at this point. And so we can see this coming up. So what we can do is we can say, right, we have identified what the condition is, and we can build a bridge over it. And a person can carry on. Now, that is something that I discovered when I discovered what causes suicide. It leaves footprints. Although the footprints are unseen by the average everyday person, Some people have heard, but or may not have, but in Australia, the Aboriginal tribe people, and still can do it today, can track a person who has walked across bare rocks. In other words, no grass, no mud, no dirt. They've just walked across bare rocks. And the Aboriginal tribes people look at the ground in front of them and say, this is where they went. And they're correct. It's what you didn't know, what they're looking for. Because at night in Australia and the outbacks, etc., it gets very, very cold, even though it's mostly desert in the middle. It gets cold, and the moisture in the atmosphere creates a fine fungus, a little growth, like a little moss, and it grows on the rocks. And then in the next day when the sun comes down, it dries it out. So there's a fine moss on all rocks. And when you tread on that moss, if you know what you're looking for, you can see a footprint. That's a fact. So when you started to see an event ahead that I can see, this is my time to bring it to the world. And I'm teaching people this so people can learn numerology on the Vaughan Code. So, and even up here, if you go to petervaughan.net, just that part there, that's if you want to see and get a profile. If you learn this stuff, you could literally make a living out of it and go and do things for other people or pick it up as a hobby and get blown away by it. It's a fun study, and more people need to learn it. This is way beyond the average numerologist. And not being hard on him, I was one once, but I wanted to know how it worked. So, look, thank you for your time on that. I'll just doing little fill-ins as I go through, and I will now say that the future's looking great as long as we plan it. In fact, it's interesting. Even I have a cold cup going on here. I would like to finish it if I can. I'll just hit the pause button for a moment. Nothing worse in my book than a cold coffee. I'm a real person like everybody else. Now, who we have here? We've got Bonita. Hello, Bonita. And we have Louisa. Now, Bonita, you've come up and you've given us your information, and all I'm going to give is what you're basically giving out is what I want. If anyone gives me any more information than what I've asked for, which is just your first name and your day and month of birth, then I won't be privacy. I've been doing this for too long to ruin any of that. So you've got here, Bonita, you're born on the 23rd of October. That's great. You're still at school, so you're not an oldie, unless you went back to school. And what courses to do for a career? Now, that would suit you. I can give you a bit of hand there, so we'll look at you're at school, but you're looking forward to a career. Okay. And Louisa, I am not going to leave you out there. And although Louisa, you've just left me Louisa, I'm not using your surname at all. But I think I know who you are. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I'll write that down because I'm glad you're watching. Where are we doing it? Yeah. Okay, looks like I'm a one-hand band. I kind of am, but I'm not. We're doing this for the first time live, which we will be doing. How often are we going to be doing these?
How often do people want it?
But if you guys would like this, I don't know, once a fortnight, once a week, I reckon we could do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
If you're keen on this, and the stuff I'm bringing up, which I'll be pouring online here, no set particular time limit at this stage, but people are interested in this stuff and getting answers. So I'm glad you're online, talking to a real person who's doing this stuff and has a great deal of experience. Belinda, and you've got an interesting one. Right, so, okay, so we're done. Brandon, Bonita, school. Bonita, we're going to have a little look at your numbers. B-O-N-I-T-A. Now, again, I'll say to everybody whoever gave you your first name, that's really, really important, because it's your first name that governs most of your life. And I can say that. And just to add this in before I put you up on board, Benita, 23rd of October, that's what I've got, 23 October. Now, I know that if people are in the States, that's back to front, but it doesn't really matter, because 2 plus 1 equals 3, just as 1 plus 2 equals 3. All I'm doing is looking at that particular part, in which case it's 5 plus 10, which is, in fact, 15, 10, 15, which adds up to the number 6. 5, 6, and 0. So that's your birthday, and we're going to plus it to the year 2025, which is a 9 year. 9 and 6 equals 15, which equals 6 yet again. Okay, now we'll look at Benita. 2, 6, 5, 9, 2, and 1. And I'll keep popping this up as people are coming on board. There is the numbers set up. Most numerologists know this and use it, and they should recognize it very quickly. I've added a 0 here because there are 9 whole numbers. We must have one of those. And I've slotted it in that position, giving us 4 rows of 9. 4 times 9 is 36. And a lot of people talk about that being the Tesla number. There's a lot to do with that. Frequencies are real. What I'm talking about on the board today has been based on a great deal of research and science. This dates back to a written work that I can find 1500 years BC. That's 3,500 years ago. This was not done by Pythagoras. And anybody in between that, people say, oh, Pythagoras is the father of number. No, it goes way back before then. Even the Chaldean peoples, those people, the technology developed above the Chaldean numerology, and so therefore it's got a different way of planning it. It doesn't, if it did work, we'd still be using horses and carts, but they'd be really fast ones. But we haven't taken the technology further. So I'm not pulling away good knowledge from people that they've put hard work into. What I'm saying is there's always a correct way, a true way to look at it, and you've got to be able to prove that. Bonita, you're a softie. And that's what the letter B says. And look, it even looks like a teddy bear. Look, oh, nice and cuddly. So the letter B says, oh, and I can be a little fussy over what I like as well. Because the number 2, second letter of the alphabet, it says, here's my mind, and here's me, my body. And you bring these two together, and you're a little bit of a softie. So you do like a bit of a cuddle, if you can get one from mum and dad, or people that you're good friends. So let's add it up. That's 8, 2 and 6 is 8, 13, 22, 24, 25. Now, I'm going to take that part off. Yep. Does that always do that, does it?
No.
Oh, it must be a new thing come through or something. On this one here, your name, Benita, adds up to the number 7. But what is interesting there, I know that you are still at school. I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight. This is now, you're getting some future forecasting from me. Now, this will be quite interesting because this will happen in your life, and I'm going to give you an age when it will happen. Now, I'm going to pick on the letter A. Now, for those who have been watching before and still are watching it now, here's a little bit of a lesson for you. Where did the letters come from? Especially this one here, in this particular instance, because Benita has got the letter A at the end of her name, not the front, but if it was the front of her name and the end of her name, it has impact. And the letter A represents, literally, in the way it was written originally, like that, that is an ox's head with a yoke over its shoulder. And the idea behind that was the ox could plow a field with the farmer and the yoke and the plow on the ground much quicker than it would be to dig it up with a wooden spade back then. So this was then changed around by the Phoenicians to that, and eventually ended up by being Romanized to that shape. But what it means is, when that happens, it means a rapid change in the life and living conditions for a person. I'm going to give one form of proof of that, which I had done on a radio show. So I'll just take that out. And to carry on with you, Benita, there, because you're actually a smart person. You quite like your own company. You've got a side that says, I'm happy to be on my own at times and work away. And you're thinking forever, and people are talking to you, and you're not saying much because you're listening a lot and you're watching and observing. You're a person who has got smarts developing. So any area in your life that has to do with research, learning, or specializing, that's where you should go, because you've asked basically about your career. At this particular time, it says you're a specialist. The date that you're born on, the 23rd, says of everything. So you have to learn to focus. I'm going to write that up for you. And if you can learn to focus. Now, I have an old bullet shell thing here. This is a shotgun shell that people have seen, I'm sure, at some stage in their life. And I've actually just got some grape seeds in there because I had some grapes and wanted to save them somewhere. So that's a bullet shell. Now, that's not just a bullet shell. I'm going to even show you all guys. I use these as demonstrations. Now, that's an empty, dead old bullet shell that I got from somebody who's got one of these things that they shoot with. That, when it's going down the barrel of a gun, looks at one thing and one thing only. It's where it's pointing. This one looks down the barrel of the gun and says, when we get to the end of the barrel, man, we're going everywhere, because it scatters itself. So the difference between scattering and focusing here is important, because if you focus, you become a specialist in certain fields. Often can be done with people. So I'm going to put PPL there for people. You can become, depending on the rest of your name, Belinda, there's a lot that there's a lot I could do to show you what your career will be best at. Therefore, you're shortcutting a learning curve. You're therefore increasing your potential income earlier in life. If this was taught in schools, every school know exactly what they're doing in their life and where they're going by mid-schooling systems. And I mean that. It's not hard to find out where you're going. And the thing is, I can now prove that to be just so. So let's have a look at this for you, Benita. It says at age 25, when your name goes through for 25 years, and once you get to the 25th year, you literally start Benita again. It's a sound vibration recognized in a part of your brain called the amygdala. You've got a memory, and the memory comes from a part of your brain, which is your hippocampus. Now, it sounds like hippopotamus, but it's not. Hippocampus, and it means memory. And the reason it's called hippocampus is because that word in Greek represents the seahorse shape. They've got the part of your brain called the memory is shaped like a seahorse, and that's why they call it hippocampus. And the little part at the beginning of that called the amygdala, which is linked up to the hippocampus, it remembers everything inside there. And when a memory is triggered, the front part of your brain is called this little amygdala, which means almond shaped. So it's about the size of an almond, about thumbnail size. And that particular organ sets off all the chemistry, which makes us excited or less excited or whatever. Well, I don't want to go there. Fight or flight mode is what it was called or considered to be. So when we have a vibration going through the brain, the way it's programmed and the way it operates, which is what Numerology actually is the discoverer of, that goes around and shows how that works. So Benita, when you reach age 25 or in your 25th year, you are going to find that you have a major change in your life or living conditions. Now, what's a major change? Getting married, shifting house, changing job, something that's quite big, and it will be big. Not only will it happen to you at age 25, it's also going to happen to you at age 50. So don't forget those two numbers. Next thing I'm going to talk about, though, regarding that is why I'm saying that will happen. Now, if I can say it will happen and show you now, that's kind of impressive to some degree. But I did this on national radio here in New Zealand. I did a show. This is just fill-in stuff, but this is what I've done. I got put on an all-night show from midnight till dawn with a radio host. And that radio host had heard a bit about me, thought, well, we're on national radio, the biggest radio station in New Zealand. And even though we don't have a population like the rest of the world, you find it interesting, like I did when I was on air with the guy doing the show. And as we were talking, as I've done on 2 shows, long periods of time, the name David was raised at one stage. And on the name David, it's got an A in it. Right there. Now, that name David there, literally, if you add it up number-wise, 4, 9, and 4. Those are the numbers. What a mess. 414. D is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4, 5, 5 and 8 is 13, and 9 is 22. So that name runs on time for 22 years. Once it gets to the end of David, it just literally starts all over again. So if we go 22 years plus 4 years is 26, and 1 is 27. That A there has a vibration or a hiccup at age 27. And I was on radio, and the announcer, when I mentioned that every David in the world, remember this, Davids? Every David in the world at age 27 has a major change in his life or living conditions. The host put that out to the whole country. Now, in the daytime, when I mentioned this here, the station, the guy who's doing the stage, a fax machine, his emails and his communications come in so much. It was crazy. He said, I don't believe this. A lot of people were interested in it. But the nighttime show became so interesting only a couple of hours into it. So it was just about 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, most people are like at 2 o'clock in the morning. We got a call among the calls coming in that I was talking to the nation on, a little bit like this. And we got a call from the National Communications Service in the country. And they said, what's going on? And it was like, what's happening? And they said the entire country's telephone system was locked solid. Now, that I could imagine it during a busy day, lots going on. But at that particular time, I'd locked the country up. So people are interested in this stuff, and that's why I love now talking about it openly. So every David in the world, when they're 27 and 49 and 71, those are 3 times I'm getting for the Davids: 27, 49, and 71. David Attenborough, David Attenborough, the animal enthusiast of films, things like that. He's the guy who's known everywhere around the world. Just like that. It was my ambition, David Attenborough looking at bugs and things in the soil. He was 71 when his wife died. Now that's a major changing in a person's life. So it just goes to show you that it does work, and it's not higgledy-piggledy. This stuff actually has got a track record of about 98% plus, I say, and other people tell me it's different. They think it's a bit more. So, Bonita, 25, remember that time for you, it'll happen at 50. In your life, you're a specialist. Learn to focus, because unfortunately, not unfortunately, but your day of birth, which means lots of things. You love being around people, you're good at change, you like adaptability, you like travel, all that sort of stuff, which is exciting. But this year for you is an important year. That number 6 I almost rubbed out there, of what's happening this year for you means that you've got more responsibility on your plate. So around you, you're going to be finding that you're in demand and people need help, your help. Organize things better. It could be in the family, could be other factors, even friends that you've got at school. Take more responsibility, but don't take on responsibility too much, because it's not the way life is meant to be. Love to help you more, and the only way I can help people more, or want to get a profile report or get online and have with me, we can do that. Bonita, thank you so much for that, and I hope you enjoyed that. And people, if you think out there you'd like to see more of this stuff, let us know, because that will determine how we do this for people anywhere in the world. Really, really happy to do it. Belinda, now let's just see here. We're doing good. So Belinda, you got an interesting one. That's why I said Belinda before and after Benita, because let's see, 16 February. Now that is 2, the second month, and that's the 7. 7 and 2 is 9. We are in a 9 year, 2025 equals 9. So 9 plus 9 equals 18, which equals 9 again. Belinda, no matter where you are in life, your age-wise, this is a year where it's time to assess. I'll tell you why first. We go through 9-year cycles, and I've mentioned this a little earlier as well. 9-year cycles at the end of these are 9 years long. Now, they are 9 years long. The universe provides that. When we look at things that spin in the universe, like the sun, it rotates. We've also got the Earth rotating around the sun. We've also got the moon rotating around the Earth. All of these run in cycles of 9. Women's periods, 27 days. Now, people say 27 to 29. Yeah, that's a fact. But the same thing, the background behind the sun and the star itself, the sun is a star, the star and the background aren't always in a line the same way. So you're catching up, you're slowing down. So it's 27. 2 and 7, 9. They have a cycle where you're at the end of a 9-year cycle, so wherever you are, you're there. That means time to get ready to bounce off again in a new direction in 2026. The point being, though, is your birthday's already gone by. You're now moving into a new direction. If certain letters of your name, middle and last name, have altered, then next year can be different than this year. Or it could be the same, but circumstances will change. And I can determine that only with the full information about you. To provide evidence for this here, apart from the sun, even if you look at the word sun, why did we call it sun? It's actually a star. Well, that's 1, 3, and 5. Those are the values of the letters of SUN on here. S is under 1. The U is under 3. And the N is under 5. So SUN, those are the numbers of those letters. And that adds up to 9 as well. So the sun's a 9, it's spinning, and it does 1 revolution. The Earth does 27, and the moon does 27. Go figure. Then there's another cycle. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to provide evidence that I am talking structured science on numerology. Numerologists should know this stuff. Now, do I want to cut things out? So I'm going to take that part out. Anyone born, and this is a good thing if you know about it. Anyone born on the 16th day of the month usually has more lessons in life than most other people. And you'll know this. So that means that you care and want to help other people. And you do it in a very loving way and a caring way and an understanding way. Because that 16 is like a beautiful number. And often when you're a beautiful number, people pick it, like picking a flower. I mean, it belonged to the plant. You've ripped it off, put it in a vase, and it droops over and dies after a short while. So 16 is a beautiful number, but it brings life's lessons with it. And it means that you're going to gain a lot more experience in life by experience, not just reading about it, not just watching other people. You're the one who's experiencing stuff, but you do it in a very caring and loving way. So you will do things for others, and it would be nice that they did something back for you. I think you'll understand that as well. So I have passion for the number 16-7 because I feel that they are, once they knew about who they are and what they're doing in life, they could have a lot more fun. Now, you're in the end of a 9-year cycle. If you were born here, as a little example, Belinda, there you are, you're born at this particular part, oh, that's the Earth. So here you are on the Earth, you're born there. And up in the heavens are stars, like they have clusters and things all over the place. Now, those stars are there, and they're 3-dimensional. They're not just all flat. They're in different spaces and all over the place. And the sun's moving, and the planets are orbiting it. And from here, when you were born, if somebody in family went and got a camera and says, I'm going to take a picture of the sky just on your birthday, and they take a picture of the sky. Now, here's an interesting fact, and it's a scientific term, Saros. So anyone can go and look up these words, and you'll find that what I'm talking to you about is stuff that I've learned. over a long period of time because I wanted to know how this works. And therefore, people can now learn numerology and astrology, which is advanced. It's really advanced on how to go into the depth of time reading for anybody, past. I use this to go back and talk about the crucifixion time. And how's that? Where you guys are right now, it's Good Friday. And Good Friday was, as you know, with Easter Sunday and that sort of stuff going on, was when in Christianity, when Jesus was crucified. Now, at that particular time in life, everybody in the world, so I used the Saros cycle of my work to go back in time and to see what was happening in people's lives back then. This stuff I can teach you, which can do that. Go back and look at Napoleon Bonaparte, find out when Tesla did kill his brother. They're all marked on their charts, on the brother who died and on the boy who killed him. So, and it was an accidental thing, it wasn't intended. But all of these things are now done with this. So this is not numerology about numbers. It's literally a science. So here we are, we take a picture. So someone's taken a picture of those stars in that formation. Now, on a clock, when the hour goes around in a year, and in the world at the moment, each year is 365 and a quarter days long. So every 4 years, we have 4 lots of quarters adding up. And so they have a leap year. Now we have a leap year. So it means that the timing's not correct. It's blurring. And if you looked at a longer period of time, the blur would get bigger. When you look at a rainbow, and I'm just going to, just for argument's sake now, pretend we've got a rainbow and it's got different colors in it. Can you imagine you've got all the shades going through the rainbow colors? None of them are definitive. There's not a stop of one color and a start of the other. They blur. So on this thing called Saros, it means that 18 years, 1 and 8 is 9, 11 days and 8 hours. 18 years, 11 days and 8 hours. So it's just over 18 years by 11 days, a blur. Those stars here will be in exactly the same position that they were when you were born, right up to the 8 hours. That is a scientific fact, and it's called a Saros cycle. Now, the reason I raised that particular word to show you that, I've got the rainbow, the rain stopped. Actually, it's raining here, so there's no rainbows at the moment. That's the number 1. It's the 19th letter of the alphabet. That's also 1 because it's the first letter. 1 and 9 is 10. 1 and 0, 1. First, second letters are 1 and 1 each. The R is the 18th letter, so that's 9, adding it up. O is the 15th letter, 1 and 5 is 6, and 1 is like that for the S. 1, 2, 3, 9, 18. Who the hell made up the word Saros? This is where the stuff gets so uncanny that I've started to become a word master. And when you start to become a word master, you're going to find the prefix to some words commonly matches up with the back end. Like the back end of the word side, C-I-D-E. Suicide, genocide, herbicide. Whoa. So when you start to look at it, you think, well, it's a bad word. And yet the word side means life. Side, C-I-D-E. 3, 9, 4, and 5. 9 and 9 is 18, 3 is 21, 3. And the number 3 represents expressing life. It's like an artist who expresses a painting on a canvas. It's expressing. That means growth and creation. So the number 3 then is a number of life. But if you put something in front of it, like Sui, now that means death of life. If we look at Sui, it's 1, 3, and 9. And that adds up to 13. So some people say that 13 is a bad number. It's not a bad number unless you mistreat it. 13 is a very sensitive number. It's very self-creative. It's very loving. It's very exciting. It's a good high-end sports people, 13s. It's got real power in it. But if you mess around, it's like playing with a loaded bloody gun and pointing in the wrong direction and pulling it, the trigger. and somebody gets hurt. So suicide then only happens in the death of life, and I'll put the word side up there, when a person is having a miserable time and nobody understands it. I've actually figured out how to track suicide before it happens, therefore stopping it in its tracks. People actually go through the pressure period and out at the other side feeling better. So it's a case of people knowing when that's happening, because most people who are suiciding don't say anything, they just do it. And there's particular codes, I'm not going to mention what they are here, but there are particular codes that I've discovered that identify when that can take place. Everybody has some of those patterns in their life, but they don't necessarily suicide. Why? Because they're in a better frame of mind. So when we're doing, like with you, Belinda, your name up there, 2, 5, 3, 9, 5, 4, and 1, 7, 10, 19, 19 and 10 is 29. See if that was correct. Just checking. 5, 10, 19, 22, 27, 29. So 2 special numbers. There are 3 specific numbers: 11, 13, 16. These are the most powerful numbers that affects people's lives there is. Is that okay if you take that with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure I'm keeping up with the old people here. Right. Or
Keep going with Belinda, and then we'll do Louisa,
Yep.
and then we will
yeah, Louisa here. She's
Louisa's too.
Yep. Now, 11, 13, and 16. When anybody has codes of that come up in their life during a particular passage, like a voyage, or like driving on the road and hitting a pothole, boom, it's usually a time when these numbers literally pop up. You've got 29, 2 and 9 is 11, and you've got 16 the day that you're born on. So what you've got there is 2 of them. You're a special person. Special people like you are high-end people, up here, thinkers, perfectionists, caring, loving, into detail, good memory, great counselors. So you've got a powerful job to do. So look at where you're going. I was going to check on something here. Where are we? Travel. Oh, you actually asked about travel. Not this year. Unless it's moving house. I wouldn't do anything new and exciting in a 9 year. It's not particularly good, especially where you're concerned. And if you were to travel, it's always good to travel when the numbers indicate it could be like March or May. And that those 2 particular parts are okay for travel, depending if it's planned and everything is all right. Just remember what's going on in the world and where you want to travel to. Sometimes it's just not the right time, but I can check it out for you. All you have to do is to come back and say, Peter, I'd really like to know about where I'm going. And I would say, in your case, I would consider that, only for being able to help you out. And anybody who does want me to get involved in a reading, that's a profile report. When I spend time with a person, an hour or more, I'm actually charging more money, and it's not exorbitant, but it's just more money. But I spend time with that. When I start off my reading with the person, I will prove that I know what I'm talking about, because I'll talk about things in your past that I couldn't know about. And they're not things personal, like I'm trying to get into your mind. No, it's the patterns I have, and they show up. In fact, I will have one here somewhere. I know I will, because I moved things around before, and I'm going to see a
I've got one here. Do you want to take
the person's
name off the top of it?
Oh, no, let's see. I'll have a look at what it is.
Do you want to take the person's name off the top of it?
I'll just put a line through it. Doesn't matter. Not that I know the person. Oh, hang on. Here we are. It doesn't matter. You won't be able to see it. I'll be moving it around too fast. Oh, that's all right. That's done. Oh. Right. Right. That's a chart. That is what I look at when I'm doing somebody's numbers, as it were. But numbers are not about numbers. They are a language. And these are timelines of things happening in a person's life at any particular given point in time on the months. As we're going through here, that's where the months are up here. So I can look at any particular month at any time in anyone's life. And so that's what a chart is. Now, a lot of people do charts, but that kind of charts that I do go right down to the day, and I can go down to the hour, sometimes the second. And that, although that's very vague in some respects, but not necessarily when it's something really important. Something that could be basically a heart attack, or it could be an accident taking place, at a specific time. Usually it shows up after the fact, because who goes looking for all the terrible things before the fact? Accidents happen because people haven't planned or are aware of their environment. Be like a bird. The bird's always on the ground looking around like this, and then they pick it up, they're back looking around. They're making sure that their environment, they're watching it all the time. We should be doing that in our own life, but not like this. What's going on? We go nuts if that was going on. What's wrong with you? Take a pill. So I have that kind of a mind. Anyway, so Belinda, I'm hoping that helps you. And if you want any more, like anybody else, or tell someone else, you've got to see this guy. He's real fun to deal with. Oh, I have fun doing this stuff. Right. So I'm going to take that off. And all these things that science provides. Did you know that the word star, has got planets running around them, and an atom, an atom, a little tiny little atom there with its electron fields around it, around that nucleus. The word star and the word atom add up to the same number, and yet they're both almost like, if you'd say a star's huge, and an atom's tiny, but little parts inside the atom, the electrons and bosons and quasars and things that are inside there, well, the atom is huge compared to those little bits. So relativity is part of the law. Take that out. All right. Now I had a name in here with no birth date, and that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up Louisa. Luisa. Now, when you're looking at it, you could say Louisa, all sorts of ways of saying it. That's why I'm saying this about, I didn't say before, but there's about 9 ways to spell the name Karen that all sound like Karen. And it's the way I think, I'm going to change the name when I have my child, not going to be the standard Karen. And anyone's name that sounds like Karen, but spelled differently, actually have different lives. And when I mentioned before about the name David, and how Davids have a 27-year change in their life or living conditions, it's fact. So all Karens are quite sensitive people, Karen, daydreamers and sensitive. And they get hurt easy. So that's just what the name Karen represents. But when they were 3 years of age, usually a baby or a brother or sister was born after them, or something happened in the family. Really? 22, 3, 4, and 25. At age 25 as well. So these are aspects that I know about with any Karen that would happen. In fact, what about that lowest thing that I did?
You can do that on the next one.
I'll do
Lois on the next one.
I'll do that on the next
Louisa now, and then we're going to shut it down until next week.
Okay, I'm going to write the word Lois up here because that's another interesting little tale. Right. And then I think, as we're enjoying this, we will look up and do a schedule and get some more stuff going, and we have more fun with this at another time as well. So Louisa, 33911. 3 and 3 is 6, 7, 8, and 9 is 17. Now we haven't had an 8 person up here today, but the number 8, the key word for number 8 is authority. So with the name Louisa, it's got that soft musical sound feeling about it. It's got a letter U as the first vowel. Now I'm saying the first vowel because vowels, we haven't covered everything here at all, but the vowels themselves are the soft part of the language, of letters. A, E, I, O, U are not squeezed letters like a B or a T or a S for S or whatever. A, I, O, U just comes straight for the lung through the vocal cord in the shape of the mouth, lets the letter flow. The vowels, therefore, are soft letters, and they've got a comfort with them. So we've got 2 vowels here and 1 there. So out of the 5 letters of that name, we've got 3 vowels in it. So Louisa, even though this name represents strength and authority, and will voice it, because the letter L says, I'm going to express, and then people wish to have less people interfering in their lives to come and get them to get help or whatever, they'll probably tell you straight out with authority what you should be doing about it. So they've got a power with them. The 17-8, which is what I've done when I've added this up, is a partial way up the ladder of what Louisa really is in value. It's 12, 22, 32, 33, 42, 52, 61, 70. Wow. So these people here literally are wise with that 7 and leaders. So that's what Louisa represents. And also in those 2 years there, which is 16 and 17, at 16 and 17 were years that were to do with personal changes in their life, shifts, moves, or activities that were relatively important, one after the other. So Louisa, looking at your name here, this field here for a person who's got a first name and can lead a lot to career preferences that are not on the surface but quite strong, anywhere with psychology or managing people at the top end. So in other words, areas of authority. So Louisa, thank you for popping in and letting us have a look at your name as well. And I will now just do this thing up there about Lois, because I think it's an interesting story. Okay, right, so I'm going to take that off. I was listening to the radio one day, the national, I want to say national, I mean the radio that's on in the nation, biggest one. And an advert came over and says the Lois Club was having an annual general meeting. And I picked up my ear because I like names. And of this Lois Club, and they were to ring this number and get checked out, or make sure they've got their invitation, etc. So I rang up the number, and the lady answered, who was Lois, and I said, look, my name's Peter here, not Lois, but I'm very interested in what this Lois thing is all about. Never heard of a Lois Club. Oh, she said, there's lots of clubs with people's first names. And she said, when they go to a restaurant or having an event like they're doing, if somebody was to call out Lois, they all look around. That was quite funny. However, my interest was, I said to her, and when I did her name, I know that was the 19th letter, the 19th year in this person's life, age 19, 3 and 6 and 9 and 1. So 3 and 6 is 9, plus 9 is 18, and 1 is 19, that there. And at 19, the letter S. If you stand a letter S on a platform like that, it's wobbly. And the letter S, just to give you a bit more insight, the back end of the letter S, it says, I trap emotions from the past. So any person who's got an S like a Lois at the end of their name, in this case here, I said, Lois, what happened to you when you were 19 that you had a personal emotional event with? And she went, I could see her thinking on the phone, and she went, oh, my fiance and I parted company before we got married. And she said, yeah, it was quite of an experience there. She said, how did you know that? I said, when you were at the meeting, asked the other Loises if they all of them, doesn't matter what age they are, when they were 19. And when she came back to me, she said, that was fascinating, unbelievable. Yeah, they all had a personal emotional experience of varying levels, but it was there. So if this is a timeline of people's names, then numerology up here. Numerology is like numerology on a major scale. And we include in that timelines what's coming up in your future, what's happened in your past. That'll prove that what I'm telling you about what's coming up in the future will be accurate and can be relied on. And you can also sharpen your life up so you're not wasting time in wrong areas. People, I think, if I'm seeing right now, yep, what I'd like to do is to close this down. because it'll be 10 o'clock in America. Oh no, 9:30 over there at the moment. So I can say good night to you and sleep tight. But apart from that, thank you all for coming on board. If you'd like this, let us know. Where should they let us know? I mean,
Just put a comment in the comment section.
Oh, put a comment in the comment section, and we will then put
Like and subscribe. They need to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah. And again, because even though I've been doing this for a long time, I've never really gone out too much about it on a major public scale. But it's time to do that because people need to know this information. It's not what most people think it is. And there is a very, very strong foundation of science involved in it. So much so that I do work for companies and I do work for businesses and people who want to know a lot about a lot of things. People even want to follow sports and they want to follow share market and cryptocurrency and stuff like that. All this can be managed through this particular subject. And the reason for it is all involves thinking, and thinking can only take place when someone is using letters and numbers. So this particular tool up here, used in any industry, can literally disseminate it, and you can look at every little piece in it. So if you want help in anything out there, not just personal stuff, but business stuff as well, let me know, and I'll see what I can do for you, as I've done for a lot of other people over time. Peter Vaughan here, signing out for this session. Thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed it. And here's me, I'm still rattling it off, and everything here was not planned as such, apart from your first name and your birthday as was required. So I'm going to cause that to come to a close. I'm just going to see here it says end the stream. So thanks for watching. Let other people know if you need to do more of this or specific subjects, I can do that. So we don't just have to talk about your first name. So if you want to know about something else, let me know, and I'll see what I can do for you. Thanks for your time. Peter Vaughan. Go to Whosthat for free, Whosthat.nz. You get some free stuff there. The HTTPS thing is only if it doesn't work on your computer straight away. Profiles.petervaughan.net will give you access to get these packages, but there's a video there that you'd enjoy looking at, and it's literally seeing me under test conditions up against others on live television. That was a real fun thing. And the Vaughan codes, it's a site that we're developing. I have to say it's not quite completed. We've done a few hiccups in. We started it early, but you can get me at petervaughan.net. Just that part, petervaughan.net will get me anyway. Thanks for your time. I enjoyed talking to you. And thanks for those who came in on board with it. All right, ending stream. And ending stream.